friends, welcome back. Come, let's start with a new Ind AS by named Statement of Cash Flows, which is our Ind AS 7. Let's go through the scope first because as we are looking at the scope before we are going to the standard. See, here is our scope. An entity shall prepare a statement of cash flows in accordance with the requirements of the standard and shall present it as an integral part of its financial statements for each period for which financial statements are presented. It is saying, as per this standard, every entity has to prepare the financial statements, and this financial statement should be included this statement of cash flows, and hence statement of cash flows has to be treated as an integral part of the financial statements. The standard requires all entities to present a statement of cash flows. Every organization, whether it is small or big in size, whether it is a manufacturing organization or trading concern or service organization, needs cash for running its business. The cash is also needed for future investments. Cash would be needed for payment of dividends, repayment of loans as well. Thus, any organization is required to generate the cash and utilizes cash continuously. Banks and financial institutions are also not an exception to the same. This is saying that every business has to maintain cash because there has to be a cash movement so as to continue the business. Even if they deal with the financial products, accept deposits, and even give loans day in and day out, they need to generate the cash profit for their own business. They need to make investments in terms of new branches, setups, etc. Thus, statement of cash flow is equally important for banking and financial institutions as well. So, it is saying how important the cash flow statements is and how important cash profit for a business to run its day-to-day activities. And as we all know, cash comprises of cash in hand and demand deposits. Cash equivalent means short term and highly liquid investments that are readily convertible into cash. And you know that cash flows means both inflows and the outflows of cash and cash equivalents. Operating activities are the principal revenue producing activities of an entity, that is the daily trading. Investing activities or the acquisition and disposal of long term assets and other investments not included in the cash equivalents. These are like long term investments and disposal of long term assets. Okay. Financing activities, these are the activities that result in change in size and composition of the contributed equity and borrowing of the entity. It is like whether shareholders are investing again, that is the capital, own equity capital, or if the business has taken some borrowings from outside, then such borrowings also to be included. And therefore, we have only three major activities, that are operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. Operating activities are, you can, in general language, you can take these operating activities are cash flows from daily trading. And then investing activities are, you can simply take it as long term investments and disposal of long term assets. And financing activities, it relates to capital investment or borrowings and repayment of borrowings or repayment of capital that has been brought. Come, let's move on to the illustration number 1. Company has provided the following information regarding the various assets held by company on 31st of March. Find out which of the following items will be part of cash and cash equivalents for the purpose of preparation of cash flow statements as per the guidance provided in Ind AS 7. Fixed deposits with SBI, fixed deposit with HDFC, redeemable preference shares, cash at various banks, cash balances, and bank overdraft, treasury bills. These are the few items which has been given. Let's read each and every point and let's understand whether this particular security is will be classified as cash and cash equivalents or not. Come, let's see the solution and we'll slowly go through it. Fixed deposit with SBI. It should not be considered as cash and cash equivalents. Why? The reason is, see, in the question itself, it has been given that it is 3 years to maturity. You should consider a security whether it is belonging to cash or cash equivalent on the date when you are depositing into the SBI. See, in this question, you are depositing into the SBI and you are making a long term investment of 3 years, for 3 years, and hence this should not be considered as cash and cash equivalents. And then fixed deposit with HDFC, 10% is the interest rate. Original term was 2 years, but due for maturity on 30th of June. But see, the question says it is preparing this cash flow statements on 31st of March, and you will be taking this maturity into consideration. But always remember, you should not consider the the terminal date of any security. You should consider, or you should classify an asset only at the inception. See here also, the original term is for 2 years, but the due is on 30th of June. See, the solution has also been given like this. Excluded as original inventory is not less than 90 days from the date of acquisition. Since this deposit has been made for 2 year period, hence this has to be excluded but not to be included. Come, let's check the other thing also. Redeemable preference shares in ABC Limited, acquired on 31st of Jan and redemption is due on 30th of April. This is like February, March, April. This is less than 90 days and hence it has to be included. At the inception date also, you know, that is on the 31st of Jan, you know that this particular security is going to be redeemed on 30th of April. That is less than 90 days. Within a period of 90 days, this security is going to be redeemed and hence has to be treated as cash and cash equivalents. And this cash balances at various branches, all branches all over the India, all international branches of Indian banks, all these are to be treated as, these are, the question itself is saying that these are the cash and cash equivalents because these are cash balances at various banks. Bank overdraft of SBI Fort branch, temporary overdraft which is payable on demand. The question itself is saying that it is temporary overdraft, has to be included. Whenever it is demanded for payment, then you have to pay. Hence, this is cash and cash equivalent. Treasury bills of 90 days to maturity. Anything which is less than or equal to 90 days has to be included as cash and cash equivalent, which has been given in the answer also. We'll go through illustration number 2. From the following transactions, identify which transactions will be qualified for the calculation of operating cash flows if company is into the business of trading mobile phones. The question is asking, there has been few transactions given and you need to classify whether the particular transaction is classified as operating cash flows or not. The transaction, receipt from sale of mobile phones. The business itself is trading of mobile phones and any receipt from sale of mobile phones has to be considered as operating. Purchase of mobile phones, obviously you have to purchase in order to make sale and hence even this is an operating. Employees expenses paid, employees expenses paid. Listen carefully whether you will be classifying this employee expenses paid as operating, financing and investing. See, just a small break, we'll be back. Employee expenses paid, these are directly related to the main activity of business, main operations of business, because without employees how will you do this business also. So employee expenses paid has to be considered as operating cash flows only. And then comes advertisement expenses. Even these are relating to your main core business and has to be included in operating cash flows. Then comes credit sales of mobile. you should not include this transaction because you are preparing cash flow statement. So this is a credit sale. As there is no involvement of cash in credit sales, you should not consider. And then comes miscellaneous charges received from customers for repairs of mobile. Has to be considered in operating cash flows because this is a supplementary revenue. If you are making sale of mobile phones, then if any repair arises, then you are the one who has to resolve those issues. And then comes loss due to decrease in market value of the closing stock of old mobile phones. You might be thinking whether this is relating to operating or not. You should clearly observe that this is a non-cash transaction and hence has to be not considered in our cash flow statements. And then payment to suppliers of mobile phones. Obviously, this is a cash flow relating to our main business, has to be included. And then depreciation on furniture of sales showroom. This is a non-cash item. Depreciation is non-cash, hence don't include. And then comes interest paid on cash credit facility of bank. This is a pure financing activity. If you are taking any cash credit from bank, then this has to be considered while preparing your cash flows from financing activities, but not under cash flows of operating activities. And then profit on sale of old computers and printers in exchange of a new laptop and printer. This is a pure non-cash item. You are selling old computers and printers for new laptop and printer. So this is a non-cash item. Advance received from customers. Obviously, this is relating to your main business, has to be included. Sales tax and excise duty paid to be included in operations of business because this is related. That's it. Nothing else has been given, and the same answers has been given in your solution also. Then let's go through illustration number 3. From the following transactions taken from a private sector bank operating in India, identify which transactions will be classified as operating and which would be classified as investing activities. Let's check each and every transaction and we'll find it out. First transaction is interest received on loans. Here it is saying the main business is, this company is into private sector bank operating. This is a private sector bank operating in India, and hence interest received on loans operating activity because this is a general business of a bank. And then interest paid on deposits. Obviously, these are all banking activities. No, then this has to be included in our operating activities. Deposits accepted. Whether this is operating or financing. Think a minute. Deposits accepted. This has to be considered as financing activity. It is like you are taking debt, means bank is taking debt from customers. If a customer gives money, or if a customer deposits money into the bank, then for bank it is a debt which has to be repaid on demand. It is like capital investment made by our public sector, general public, and hence has to be treated as financing activity. Loans given to customers, operating activity. This is a general business of a bank. Loans repaid by customers, even this is a normal operating activity. And then deposits repaid. See, if deposits accepted is a financing activity, then obviously deposits repaid is also a financing activity. And commission received, generally banks charges commission when there is a foreign exchange that is involved. So this is operating activity. Lease rentals paid for various branches, even this is operating activity because these are main expenses of operations. Service tax paid, even this is operating activity. Furniture purchased for new branches, this is investing activity because you are investing in furniture. Implementation of upgraded banking software. You are investing in banking software, hence investing activity. Purchase of shares in 100% subsidiary for opening a branch in Abu Dhabi. Opening of a branch. This is a purely in nature of investing activity. Then comes new cars purchased from Honda dealer in exchange of old cars. This is an exchange transaction that is going on, and it is nowhere said that it is purely set it off, and we are considering it as investing activities because these old cars are exchanged for new cars, and in case if there is any cash involvement, then we will be considering it as investing activity. If there is no cash involved, then we will ignore, because this we are preparing cash flow statement. And then provident fund paid for the employees, even this is operating activity. Issued employee stock option is a non-cash transaction, hence need not to be considered as no cash flow is involved. Then we'll go through illustration number 4. From the following transactions taken from a parent company having multiple businesses and multiple segments, identify which transactions will be classified as operating, investing, and financing. There are few transactions which has been given to us, and we'll easily find out. We'll just write, use people start writing beside in your study material whether this is financing, investing, or operating. Come, let's start with the transaction. Issue of preference shares, purely financial in nature and hence financing activity. Purchase the shares of 100% subsidiary company, investing activity. Dividend received from shares of subsidiaries. If you make if you make investment, only then you will be receiving dividend. If investing of or purchasing of shares is an investing activity, then receiving dividends from such investment is also investing activity. Okay, dividend received from other companies, same logic applies here, and even this is a investing activity. Bonus shares issued, this is a mere capitalization of your reserves, and hence no cash is involved. And then purchased license for manufacturing of special drugs, this is an investment in purchasing of license for manufacturing, and hence this is an investing activity. Royalty received from the goods patented by the company. C. Company has already patented the goods for manufacturing, and now the company is using that patent and it is earning royalty. Hence, if you are investing for patent, then it is investing activity. But now you are using that patent to generate revenue for your business, and hence this is a operating activity. Hope you are clear. We'll go through the next one. Rent received from the let out building. Letting out is not the main business. If letting out is not the main business, then you are giving your property on rent. It is nothing but investing activity. Rent received from the advances given. Interest received from the advances given. Operating activity. Dividend paid. Financing activity, because you are paying dividend to your shareholders, and hence this is financing activity. Interest paid on security deposits, financing activity. Purchasing of goodwill, investing activity. Acquired the assets of a company by issue of equity shares, not parting any cash. That means it is clearly saying it is non-cash transaction, hence ignore. Then interim dividends paid, even this is financing activity. Dissolve the 100% subsidiary and receive the amount in final settlement. If you are purchasing shares of 100% subsidiary, then it is investing. And now if you are dissolving the 100% subsidiary and receiving the final settlement, even this is investing activity. Let's move on. Hope you are clear with these things. If you have any if you want me to explain any particular point, then comment below. I will be responding to you. And you know that cash flow statement can be prepared in two methods using direct method or indirect method. Direct method means major classes of gross cash receipts and cash payments are disclosed. It is nothing but you will directly classify the transactions as operating, investing, and financing, and you will be calculating the cash balances, adding the opening balances, you will be getting closing cash and cash equivalents. Whereas in indirect method, you will adjust the profit or loss that is arrived in your statement of profit and loss. And by adjusting the non-cash items and removing this non-cash, removing financing and investing activities from the profit or loss and disclosing them separately, you will be doing this in indirect method. Hope you are clear with these two. And there is an example on this topic. Illustration number 5. Find out the cash from operations by direct method and indirect method from the following information. This information has been given. Operating statement of ABC Limited and the balance sheet as on the date has been given to us, and we are required to prepare statement of cash flows using both the methods, that is direct method and indirect method. Come, let's solve this question along with me. So the question is asking us to calculate cash from operations both from direct method and indirect method. Let's start the question solution with indirect method, because the question has clearly given us the profit after tax, which is amounting to 53,000. Come, let's start. We will start indirect method from profit after tax, which is our 53,000. The same has been taken over here. And there are three non-cash items. And in fact, we can say that three non-operating things which has been found in our balance sheet. That is administration and selling overheads amounting to 55,000 and depreciation of 7,000. Loss on sale of asset, which is 2,000. Loss on sale of asset has to be treated in investing activity. Depreciation non-cash item. Selling and administration overheads, these are operating, but these are changes in working capital which need to be taken care of. Now this 7,000 has to be added back to our profit after tax. Loss on sale of asset, which is 2,000, has to be added back, and interest paid of 3,000 has to be added back. Interest paid is a financing item, hence we are adding it back. Depreciation non-cash item, adding it back. Loss on sale of asset is relating to investing activity, and hence we are adding it back. And now we should calculate the changes in working capital. Changes in working capital, here we had working capital means the current assets and the current liabilities. See, inventory is there. Inventory 12,000, 13,000. This 13,000 is of opening balance. Opening balance and this closing balance. So there is a reduction of 1,000 in our inventory balance, which means there is an increase in cash flows. Therefore, decrease in inventory rupees 1,000 has to be added back. Hope you are clear. And then debtors. Check out our debtors. It is 7,000 and 10,000. 7,000 is the opening balance and 10,000 is the closing balance, and hence there is an increase in our debtors about 3,000. Hence this is a outflow of cash, which it is like decrease in cash flows, and hence increase in debtors of 3,000 has to be reduced. So when comes to assets, increase in current assets means you need to reduce, and decrease in current assets means you need to add back. This is relating to assets. When coming to the liabilities, it is opposite. When there is an increase in liabilities, then you need to add back. When there is any decrease in liability, then you need to subtract. So the next current liability is creditors. Creditors opening balance is 8,000, whereas the closing balance is 12,000. So there is a change of 4,000, which is an increase. So in case of liabilities, increase means you need to add, and hence increase in creditors 4,000 has to be added. And then comes creditors for expenses. Opening balance is 7,000, closing balance is 10,000. So there is an increase of about 3000. In case of liabilities, increase means we need to add, and hence increase in creditors for expenses is 3000, which need to be added. Therefore the total cash from operating will become to 70,000 rupees. So we came to know that cash from operations using indirect method is 70,000. So you need to get the same answer from the direct method also. Come, let's solve the direct method. Before going to the direct method, if in the examination question has been given like this, the P&L account and the balance sheet. So, and the question is asking you to solve the cash from operations from direct method, you need to find out the cash sales, cash purchases, and overheads which are paid in cash. Come, let's start with cash sales. So here the question is saying there are sales of 5 lakh rupees. Therefore, I am taking sales as 5 lakhs, and the question has clearly given us the opening and closing balances. Debtors, opening is 7,000, closing is 10,000. So I am taking it here. Add opening balances less closing balances, which is coming to 4,47,000. This is our cash sales. So you need to take it over here. This is our main sheet. This is our working part. Working part 1, 2, and 3. There are 3 working parts. Cash sales are coming to 4,97,000. And let's come to the cash purchases. Cash purchases means in the question we have been given cost of goods sold of 3,50,000 rupees. And also we have been given creditors, opening creditors of 8,000 and the closing creditors of 12,000. And hence you need to calculate like this. Closing cost of goods sold of 3,50,000, add opening creditors less closing creditors. Till here is not, this is not completed. You need to even include stock, changes in stock valuation. Here the opening stock and closing stock has been given, which is our inventories. Inventories opening is 13,000 and the closing is 12,000, which has to be taken care here also. Opening has to be reduced, closing has to be added back, and hence we are arriving at 3,45,000 balance, which is our cash purchases need to be taken over here. Cash purchases of 3,45,000. Hope you are clear with this cash purchases calculation also. And then comes our overheads. Overheads. In the question, it has been clearly given that admin and selling overheads is 55,000. And there are some creditors for expenses amounting to 7,000 opening balance and 10,000 closing balance. Therefore, we need to consider these two. Payment to creditors for expenses. Admin and selling overheads given in the question is 55,000. Add opening creditors of 7,000 less closing creditors of 10,000. We are arriving at 52,000 balance, which is our payment towards the creditors for expenses, which has been taken over here as 52,000. Therefore, we arrived at a cash profit of 1 lakh rupees. But in the question, it has been clearly given that tax of 30,000 rupees has been paid. So whenever you are paying cash, it is an outflow. Therefore, cash of 30,000 rupees has to be tax of 30,000 rupees has to be reduced. Therefore, we arrived at a cash after tax of 70,000 rupees, which is our cash from operations from the direct method. We got same answer, 70,000 both from the direct method and indirect method. Hope you are clear with this problem. This kind of question has been repeated in our study material. It has been given in our test your knowledge also. Again, we'll solve it over there. Hope this problem is clear to you, and we will stop this Ind AS right over here and we'll continue in the next video. Bye bye. Thank